Greetings, this is Expander 12, also known as the last keeper of lore, and in this video, I will be going over everything we've learned since the in-person event held in Korea for Chaos Zero Nightmare. I will not be showing any of the story in this video though, to not even potentially spoil it for someone who doesn't want to see that yet. The first thing to discuss is the gacha system. This will be very familiar to many and cause dread to some, as it has a 50-50 pity and a soft pity system that has become all too popular after a certain Genshin made an impact in the gacha space, and even outside of it. Despite this, I still have hope that the system can be changed, as evidenced by their previous title, where on more than one occasion, they actually changed how the gacha system works after player request/feedback. But actually delving into the details, we know of 5 kinds of banners, plus the beginner banner, with those types being limited combatant, limited partner, standard combatant, standard partner, and prism. Here we can see the limited banner, as well as the rates. So you might not understand it, but it's 5-star, 1% chance. From 1 to 57 it's a 1% chance, but on the 58th through the 69th pull, it increases your odds by 4.5% per pull. And of course, at 70 pulls, it will give you a guaranteed 5-star, but if you lose with 50, you have to go all the way to 140. The rate of 5-star, the rate of 4 stars, all the standard 5 stars, there's 10 of them. You can see all the partners right here, broken up by faction and sub-faction. And we can see a gacha pool. And right here we can see this currency. This is standard of most gachas of the system. You get 20 from the 3-star weapons. You get 8 from a dupe 4-star or for a character or a partner. A duplicate 5-star on the other hand will give you 40 or 100 if you have max dupes, and 20 for max dupes of these as well. And this here is an image of how the prism banner works. But what they essentially do is they allow you to get the animated cards, like the 5 we saw on the official site. Those are these 5 prism cards. They'll become animated and get the prism effect on top of it. And here you can see what the prism effects for cards look like. So there's these 5 cards you can activate to become animated and get this overlay on top of them. Another thing to know is this beginner banner does not disappear when you pull a 5-star. You have 50 pulls with an increased 5-star rate, but with no discount. So once you use all 50 pulls, the banner will go away, but you can get more than one 5-star from it. We also know that the prism banner is able to got the farmable currency to buy the pulls through the chaos mode, and specifically the hardcore mode, which is a harder version, which has greater risks but also greater rewards, as well as giving you more room for save data. And here we have a combat encounter where you see how the cards work, how you cast them by dragging them towards the enemy, as well as explaining that this counter goes down by 1 whenever you cast a card, unless there is a special card with some sort of quick attack function, as well as the attack types below them, this is a normal attack. There's also heavy attacks and like negative effects, as well as sanity attacks. And as you can see, when you press this check mark in the bottom right, it will officially end your turn and lower any remaining count down to 0, meaning they will all attack at once. And if you notice, it even gives you a little warning when you try and end your turn with still cards being able to be cast. The reason why it doesn't automatically end when you run out of stamina or when you run out of cards is in case you want to do something else, like you have another card effect to give you an extra card, as well as if you're playing an ego skill that will also give you more cards to play with, or also use your egos just in general for damage. Another thing to note is if you tap your draw or your discard hand, you actually can see every single card that you have to pick up, as well as every single card you have discarded already. And here you can see what I was talking about by all the discard cards, as well as the draw cards. We can also just change between them, as well as any graveyard cards you might have. And here we're getting a clear idea of what sparks or inspiration how it actually works. So when you draw your cards, sometimes they will get this glowing effect in the corner. And when you cast these cards, a spark effect will occur. Which you can see here, draws them a special card which has a 0 cost. Here we can see that pure sanity attack I was talking about, which instantly made Mika suffer a mental breakdown. Which, not only did it make her bar fold and change your icon, it also gave you these cards which you need to cast, which lower the count but do not do any other effect. They do not cost anything either, as well as lowering your max HP by 1/3. So when if all 3 breaks your sanity, you will run out of max HP and you will lose. Another thing is, if you notice, he was moving when they casted a second card for Owen, meaning you can bank your cards so that even when they have an animation playing out, they will still be able to take the input rather than having to wait for some sort of clunky window for them to attack through. They need to wait for it. And, like they'd explained before, she got a massive reduction in her sanity damage, and when she recovered, she got a special animation to play. So not only do they have a mental breakdown animation, they also have a mental restoration animation. And it lowered her burst cost by 4. This seems to be a flat reduction, but I'm not sure how it will apply if they only have 4, like in the case of Ray right here. Like, is it going to be a free cost, or is it of a minimum cost of 1? It also removed the capped HP, so it's back to full HP, but there was no healing. There's also some unique mechanic right here, which we have seen no mention of, where Renoa actually swaps in for Mika after this turn, where it gives you the cards that she drew, but also replace the position. I don't know if this is just for story missions, or if it actually has some impact in the actual runs, that you can have like another way to swap in agents in some like later game modes.
いつでも行けるわ。待機中。いつでも行けるわ。待機中。全てにかけて。いつでも行けるわ。慈悲なんてないわ。行くわ。待機中。呼びましたか？全てを何かの暗闇。少し見たいですよ。待機します。その風を集めて。はーい。来ます。みんなに。
We finally see the whole death animation. Right here we see something known as deep trauma state, which is where they're still in their mental breakdown state, even in the sort of lobby area, or like outside of battle. And when you enter battle with characters in this deep trauma state, it will actually change the stage into a more difficult stage that you will fight through. So you actually get a disadvantage if you go into battle with a mental breakdown character, meaning the sanity is a very important mechanic to manage. Here we can see how the stage picking stage battles go. And as you can see, when there is a spark effect, you must wait for the animation to finish because it will draw a card. So that's why I gave you the warning, even though there was no cards in the hand. Because there was a spark effect going on, it gave them the warning that there was still a card to play. We get to see the sort of camp stage, which heals you as well as lowers the sanity damage to your entire team. And after that, you can talk to your combatants, like bond with them on the mission, as well as spend some of the in-run currency to do some sort of training to improve their stats. Then we get an investigation stage where there's a simple option where you just get 8 of the in-game, 8 of the currency, or you can roll, and if you get a high enough roll, you get the special item, which is a special piece of equipment. You can see the full details of what the equipment does. You think it's worth the risk. And Owen is given a bonus to the die roll. Next, we see another kind of spark effect, which is where you actually change what the card does. Like in this one, you get 3 of the cards, or in this one, you just remove the cost of casting this card, or in this one, it adds an additional effect where the dots deal more damage. Because Teresa is a very deep dot-centric character. So you can either get more daggers, have get daggers for free, or increase the dot damage. Those are 3 branching paths you can pick for this skill if you get the spark effect and gets this kind of spark effect. There's also another kind of really rare spark effect, which is where you get divine intervention. It'll have a similar menu to this, but instead of being the spark, one of the divine entities will flash on the screen and it will open up their hands and it will give you 3 options of cards to do, which gives you a divine blessing effect on that card. This shows another kind of encounter stage where you can just, where the options you can just initiate combat with them.
艦長信じて。あ、艦長。
After that encounter, you actually saw another way to improve cards, which is that they get enhanced after you beat an elite enemy. So when you beat an elite enemy, you can get another kind of enhancement outside of the Spark system. There's another kind of random encounter where you can just come across the gods like Sursen here, where when you interact with them, they can give you, you can either deny their blessing or accept their blessing, or potentially anger them and cause them to give you a curse instead. But in this obviously, as it's scripted, it only has the blessing effect. There's a sort of effect that would happen if you get a divine blessing spark, by the way. This sort of mechanic. And I guess this golden effect. When you come, there's another kind of the random encounters where you have investigation points, where these can either give you useful bits of information or other benefits from checking them out. And here you can see something known as an intrusion event, where when a wave is cleared, a second wave, surprise wave, can trigger, which is a more difficult opponent, but if you have the fear card, you can actually retreat from the encounter. But you get more and better rewards if you're able to beat them. These materials right here are used as replacements for the normal materials required from like promoting a character. Here you can see how to level up a character, as well as how the save data screen looks. You can see the date it was saved, the date you acquire the character, if it's the base deck, the number of cards in the deck, as well as these 3 pieces of equipment that is tied to that deck. You can also rename it if you want. And it only flashes for a split second. But there is actually loadout slots. If I can get it all the way back. You can see it as a 1 right here. And actually there's 3 loadout slots. So you can have 1, 2, or 3 different loadouts for a given character, leading to greater build variety and having loadouts on launch. Here you can modify how their save data icon looks via either different colors or via stickers to differentiate them or show your own character for like how you like them. Here we can see how partners work with their passive skills and active skills, which I go into more later. Here's the awakening screen or potential screen. Special materials. The dupes. The dupes are also mainly just multiplier or additional effects, no new effects, but just making certain effects stronger and lasting longer. Right at the start of this video, we can see an entire slew of information. We can see a locked season pass right here, which I don't know if it's going to follow the Hoyoverse model once again, or if it's going to be a bit different, because this will be for 9 weeks long. We have missions, which is main story. We have simulation room, which is like the farming stages. We have chaos. We have the chaos mode right here, which is for improving your save data. We have the rescue mode, which is also known as recruitment or summoning. The Arc City, which is where you manage your city. And then, of course, there's the combatants down here, where you can see all your combatants, their cards, and other effects. The second layer has events at the top, the season pass I mentioned before. This has the daily, the new player guide, as well as other guide information right here. This is where partners are kept. There's a partner menu where you can see all your own partners. This is inventory, achievements. This is the agent guide, so you can see all your agents and like additional effects, but it could also be for giving you a rough idea of how to build all your characters. This is where you can see all of the cards that are in the game currently. This is for friends, and of course, lastly, there is the shop right here. There's also, of course, mail, lobby, news, go to stove, as well as the how-to guide and settings and logout. Here we can see what the achievements looks like with, of course, bronze, silver, gold, and rainbow. So 4 tiers of difficulty between the achievements. So you can see tapping that symbol in the top left actually gives you a little brief description of how each of the classes work. But for general purposes, Striker are bruisers, so they're tanky and can deal back some damage. Vanguards are just the pure tanks. Ranger is the pure DPS. Hunter is the more support DPS role. And then Psionics and Controllers are just the buffers and debuffers, like healers and those sorts of people. We also have on the second tab, and here we can see the element system with passion, vacuity, instinct, order, and justice. There is no triangle system or Pokemon system here. It's just you match the color. So purple is the best against purple, red best against red, and so on. And with the benefits of weakness breaking them is it increases their counter. So the amount of turns it takes, the amount of cards you can play before they attack goes up. You get sanity restoration to your entire team, as well as a 1 skill point redemption. So you get 1 skill point back, even if it costs 0, from breaking their toughness meter. As well as they suffer increased damage while in the weakness broken state. Then we have the bond system, which provides minor premium currency boosts as well as stat bonuses outside of 2 specific points, which is 10 with the special lobby illustration you get of the character in question doing some sort of action, as well as at 20 when you get a free prism material to be able to use on that character to get one of their 5 cards automatically animated with the prism effect. So you only need to really get 4 of them to get full prism. Then we can see the stat screen with attack boosted by the partner, defense, stamina or HP, crit, fatal damage chance and fatal damage, which is just crit chance and crit damage. Then we have weakness damage, which increases the amount of damage you do when they are weak to that element. Then we have ego resilience, which is essentially energy recharge. Then we have all of these stats, which is just the elemental damage bonuses. So this is passion, vacuity, those sort of things. Then we have extra damage. Not exactly sure what this means, but there's some sort of extra damage effect that can happen and it boosts that damage. As well as DOT damage boost, which of course boosts damage over time effects. And at the bottom, there is the dice effect, which shows which kind of dice roll they will give a bonus of value to. This is a sort of meta resource required to do actions such as undo your last card, undo your entire turn, or re-roll all of your ego skills in case you want a different one. So you can only get these outside of runs, and they will be consumed when you use them, with a cost of 1 for the undo, for the 3 for the full undo and 2 for the reroll. Here we can see the list of the 3 meta effects I'm talking about, also known as proto skills, the shop, how you complete a chaos run. We can see here that fate cards are drawn at the start of a chaos run, and once you pick one, you cannot change your option again. So they are a permanent effect to that current run. And here we can see what happens if someone suffers a second mental breakdown in the hardcore mode or deep trauma modes, where if that happens and they are killed in that mode, they become grayed out, meaning they do not get any save data from that run, as well as suffering severe mental damage that could potentially lead to having to erase their memories, losing save data. Here we can see some of those lobby illustrations I was talking about for Magna, Rin, Orlia, Malin, Renoa, Tressa, Mika, and Beryl. To be able to see the arts, you must own the character. An important thing to know is we've seen where they fade to black and white, and we see our combatants get brutally massacred. It's actually part of the hardcore mode, where if it gets bad enough, they will just remove that character from your team for that run. So it's a full-on normal roguelite where you can just lose your characters. And a few other mechanics about this mode is that in normal runs, you can quit at any time, even in the middle of a battle, and just only lose your rewards you would have got from that run. But in hardcore mode, you cannot quit when a battle is initiated, meaning you need to get to the end and either die along the way or kill everything that is in your way. But this is not just a full negative system. If you use the hardcore mode, you have a larger amount of save data you can save, meaning you can save more enhanced cards, better gear, and all sorts of mechanics like that to be used in the other endgame modes, as well as getting the materials you need to be used in the Prism banner if you want to go for the cosmetics. And finally, we actually have partner news. So first off, there is the stats that it improves, again, attack, defense, and HP. We do not know if the later upgrades or promotions, so to speak, allow it to improve more than just one stat, or if they're very reliant on just improving a single stat. We'll just wait and see about that. But also have their passive skills and active skills. I'll be using this one known as Rachel as an example of how these systems work. So again, she boosts defense by 6. She has a passive effect when equipped to a Vanguard, which increases their defense by 12%, as well as increasing barrier strength or shield strength by 10%. With her with her skill card, giving a 200% shield and letting them draw 1 card. Of course, you can just spend resources to just level them up, or use a dupe to increase their passive skills effects. As you can see here, it increases the defense bonus by 2%, as well as the barrier strength by 3%. And part of the ingenuity of the active skills is that since they can be used even when it's on a broken set, so to speak, where it's on a combatant where the skill does not apply, the passive skill does not apply, the active skill can still be used, meaning there's no useless partners that oh, I got a Vanguard partner, but I have no Vanguards to equip it to. You can still equip it to another class and still get the active effect from it. And there could also be some combos where a certain combatant, even though it's the wrong class, is really good on a different combatant of a different class. Of course, you can also sell partners for partner experience. And I have some videos showing you what a partner's active skill cut-in looks like as seen here. Here we can see some more of the mechanics inside of Arc City. This is known as the policy room, where you get some requests from different combatants as well as other people just living inside of Arc City. They will either increase or decrease any of your stats. You can see that 30, 30, 30, 50 is the baseline. That's where it starts. And based on the choices you make, you can either increase a stat or decrease a stat. These ones are both about education. So you can either increase education and get this reward, or decrease education, get some quick experience, as well as still get the base reward. I'm sure that if you get these values high enough, they will start giving you better and better rewards. So it is encouraged to get them high, so you can get the better rewards that will come later. Here we can see the cafe, where you can say it seems to have something to do with stamina, where you can either, it seems to be, condense the stamina in this sort of system. And it has this whole animation where they're brewing coffee. Here we have the restaurant, where you spend some of the gold to have your agents consume a food buff, which will apply for a certain number of battles or just the next battle, based on which food it is. Again, with an animation playing of you eating the food. And here we can see what happens when they have the permanent effect where they suffer mental breakdown and it stayed through them into the end of the run, where she's currently at 45% mental stability. And you make a choice, one of two options that either could make it better or make it worse. And as you can see, it got all the way up to 90%, and this is the checkout form saying, hey, we successfully done the treatment and she is now in a more stable state to be accepted into combat again. Because of Protoss is a therapist. We also see some sort of random encounter in the Arc City where you're just going to increase the bond with a specific character, as seen by Ray here. We can also see here on this spreadsheet that I've made to list all of the partners, combatants, as well as keeping track of their comics, all of the partners we currently have know about or will be in the initial release of the game. We have Lillian, a 4-star controller, Wilhelmina, a 4-star Vanguard, Arwen is a 5-star controller, Rosario is actually really funny because she just comes with 2 bodyguards, and as you can see, Ranger, Alois is the scientist, Alyssa. We have Janet, which has several new squads, like Reindeer Search Party is a new squad, with Daisy. We also have Tina, Rachel. We know about these ones, Salia, Serathea, Priscilla. We also have Nyx of House Arant, Anthea of the Logos family, and I do not currently know what Aishlin's affiliation is. Alexia will not be in there at the launch of the game, so we still don't know her rarity, but she will be part of the first season content, so she should be coming shortly after release. We have Akkad, this robot, also part of the same company. We have Kage Pharmaceuticals with Blanche and Scarlet. We have these ones currently unknown in their faction with Marianne, Zeta, Capri, and Latoshka, which is that funny looking character we'd seen before. In Stella Familia, we actually have Veronica with her own faction known as Black Spica, with glass inside of it. We also have the Azure Top with Carity, Frido, Zotera, and Douglas. We also have Nakia, but we do not currently know her affiliation. And there's also some people with no affiliation at all, with Yvonne in the Holy Crusaders, so she is no sub-faction. We also have Kiara. And lastly, we have Bria, also with no affiliation. Lastly, we have the farming stages. With growth, combatant, partner, potential, memory fragment, challenge, and this currently unknown mode known as Basin of Hyperspace, which we unlock at level 27. All of these modes are pretty self-explanatory. We have growth, which again is it's either for gold, for partners, or for combatants to get experience. And we're going to see how the autoplay actually works, like how smart it is, right here as well. So leave that play in the background while I explain all the other modes. Combatant and partner modes are for you to get the promotion materials to promote, again, combatants or partners, respectively. Potential is for awakenings, traits, talents, etc. aka the sort of ways to increase their card effects. No, to increase their effects or to give them more stats outside of just leveling them up or giving them a partner, or even outside of dupes. And lastly, there's also memory fragment, which is a mode we have the least information about, but based on it being locked here as well as being removed from the combatant UI, I think that they are keeping this mode close to the chest, so to speak, on what it actually is. But based on the look and the full stat screen which we've seen before, I believe it is actually where we get the RNG gear system. And the last one on this whole page of the simulation room is Challenge, which is either going to be like the Abyss everyone knows from Epic 7, where it's these single instance challenge floors with very specific mechanics you need to overcome using very good strategy or just knowing the way about the mechanics. Or, take another page out of Genshin's book, they could just make it a cyclical content that will allow you to do every so often, every cycle probably, so every 3 weeks it would reset, give you some of the run materials so you can get more pulls and stuff like that. Personally, I am hoping it is the former, where it's more challenging rather than just, oh, it's like a DPS check or something like that. And with that, that's just about everything that I have been able to find about those released in the private playtest done in person in Korea. So, take care, Protoss. Until 0 turns to 1, I will keep you informed on the lore and story. Keep her out.